It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too.
No, literally see you because we've been talking on the phone a bunch, but
Yeah, that's true. Well, how are you today, Josh?
I'm all right. I wrapped a film shoot this past weekend.
Ooh, how was that?
It was stressful. It was intense. It was also exhilarating, as
Mm.
it often is for me. I enjoyed the feeling of reward. It's kind of like when you go to work out and then afterwards you feel like exhausted but kind of great.
Yeah, for
Like I
sure.
do feel good after the fact, and there was a lot of fun on set, but I also feel like I don't get to feel as much fun as everybody else because I'm too focused on making sure one, I get the results that I
Mm.
want, and two, I making sure everybody's happy and not upset at me.
Oh,
So
making sure everyone's happy. So do you feel like you're worried about making everyone happy?
sounds like you are trying to segue into our topic of the day.
Sounds like you are pointing it out and making it awkward for me to segue.
But I wanted to ask how you were.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're fine. You're always skipping
I'm
over
fine
you,
because
asking me all the questions.
what am I supposed to tell everybody? So like, hi, I'm Aya. I'm fine. I don't know. What else? What do you want to know?
That's totally up to you. What did you do this weekend?
Uh, I nothing.
Nothing of importance.
Nothing.
Well, you're smiling, so that's good.
Shut up. Okay. Sorry.
Whatever it was, you seem like you're in a decent mood, so that's good.
Yeah, no, we did Mother's Day stuff with my mom.
Mother's
I don't
Day,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
different
obviously
things.
I forget about Mother's Day more than other people
Oh, why's that?
because I don't have a mother.
Oh shit. Sorry, Josh.
That's okay.
That that dark
That's our dark
quicker.
humor.
That's our dark humor. I
Yeah.
thought you wanted to say it, so I tried to give you an opening, but
I don't mind.
you don't mind
I love seeing
because
the
you
look
want.
on your face. I don't know why. See, that's it's a weird.
But I
Anyway.
jumped into it that time. I knew what the answer was, and I was like,
Oh,
I was
we
trying to
still
give
were
you an
like, say it,
opportunity.
Josh. Okay, good. So we're pretty in sync.
I
There you
was
go.
trying because I thought that you enjoy that kind of humor.
Yeah,
All right,
I enjoy it
now
when
this
we're both
is
on the same page for sure.
yeah, we're both on the same page.
Cool.
Welcome back to Adulthood. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that adverb Josh
Reliably.
reliably matter.
Reliably is your adverb of the week. Does that one make sense?
Um,
Not quite.
no, but none of them are gonna make sense
Who
anymore, I
cares?
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're just gonna keep throwing again. We hope they get more ridiculous.
yeah, I think that's kind
Unless
of the
it's a
point.
super serious episode, then we gotta make it make sense, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't have to do anything. It's our podcast, so we get to do whatever we want with the adverbs.
That's right.
And I am Aya,
And I am Josh.
and welcome to episode 21. So,
21. This
as
episode is
we
now old enough to drink. Sorry, this podcast is now old enough to drink in America.
uh yeah, it can gamble, it can drink.
Our podcast could go to war a while ago.
Yes, our
Yeah,
podcast could sign its own waivers a
yeah,
while ago.
yeah.
Okay, so today, as we alluded to earlier with my stumbling segue that Josh pointed out, we're going to be talking about people pleasing. So, are you a people pleaser? And when is that a good thing? And when might it be a harmful thing to yourself or to others in general? And I guess let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
And we're back. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Aya.
Are you a people pleaser?
Am I a people pleaser? The answer to that question is from time to time.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a real black or white thing. I'll say this.
Really?
I know people who are real people pleasers.
Mm.
And I don't know if I can lump myself entirely in that category. I think there's like a, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like a list of things that kind of make you, that are like people pleasing traits,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
I've got like a bunch of them, and then a bunch of them I don't have.
Interesting. Which ones do you not have? Because I thought you would be kind of a people pleaser. I know that you're comfortable kind of saying your opinion
And that's a
when you
big
have it.
thing that's a big
Okay.
thing that counts against that people
Right.
pleasing aspect, I guess, right?
Mm.
I'm pretty good at setting boundaries for myself, which I think people
Oh,
pleasers sometimes
okay.
aren't.
That's
But on
great.
the other hand, I apologize a lot.
Right.
I feel like I'm constantly apologizing. I get really, really uncomfortable if someone's angry at me. I
Mm-hmm.
like can't take it.
Uh-huh.
I will do something sometimes to ensure someone's not upset at me. Like I'll eat all the food on my plate if someone made it for me, whether or not I love it.
Hmm.
And I do go to some lengths, I think, to avoid conflict,
Right.
but to a point. Like I said, I'm pretty good about boundaries for
Well,
myself.
that's good because that's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty honest about what I want. We brought up that other we had which episode was it? Intention versus action.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about I had went on this trip and I said everybody else on the trip was
Yeah.
constantly like talking about how we were all trying to decide where to eat, and of the four of us on this trip, apparently I was the only one who was honest every time about
Right.
what I wanted to eat. Everybody else was trying to figure out what other people really wanted and then trying to
Right.
go along with it. And then we
Yeah.
get somewhere and nobody wanted to go there because they were
Yeah.
all being people pleasy. So in that sense, I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to people please, but that's because I'm aware that that's actually a pretty harmful thing in the end if you're not honest.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? It comes out one way or another.
Why is it harmful?
To not be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious, but also like, can you just enlighten us in case nobody heard episode 19?
Well, it depends. Well, here's the thing. So if you say yes to something that you don't want to do, it'll often come out first of all. Like people will realize at one point or another, and then they will feel guilty,
Right.
and you will look dishonest,
Well, they'll feel
right?
guilty if they're a nice person.
Yes.
Many people don't care.
Okay, that might be true. But let's say you're dealing with some nice
That's
people. I
fine
was
though.
dealing with some nice
Okay.
people,
Yeah, you were a bunch of
right?
nice people. Yeah.
Yeah. So one, it's bad because you don't get what you want.
Hmm.
Then there's some guilt that'll go around. And then you might also build up this like resentment over time for not getting what you want as well.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And do you feel like you're more likely to fall into sort of that more people pleasing, codependent, if you want to call it that, area in certain types of relationships
Hmm.
or less
I'm-
likely? I don't know. Like,
It's true. I mean, in a relationship, like with my girlfriend or something,
right.
I am, yeah, for sure. I'm more likely to do something, if
Yeah.
I don't want my girlfriend to be upset, I want her to
Right.
be
Yeah.
happy. So I'm going to definitely try to please her more for sure. Maybe even at the expense of what I want. I try to be communicative and honest. Usually there's like, yeah, I'm okay with eating whatever you want to eat. But I'll say, like, I'd prefer to have this or that,
Right.
but I will be okay with any of those things. I'm usually
Mm,
pretty honest about that.
that's good.
But I'll go with things that I don't primarily want in order to please the other person.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm aware of that over time. I won't do that too much if it's going to be too harmful. So,
Good.
yeah, I try not to be like one of those. There's people pleasers out there where I think it's almost disordered. Like
Right.
it really gets in the way. I try to set those boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you sound pretty healthy, so I think our session can come to an end
So,
now.
yeah. Well, actually, let's turn this around, Aya.
Let's turn around.
I'm
Okay.
sure we'll get into more details, but Aya,
Yes, Josh.
are you a people pleaser?
um, I mean, like you said, I think more than it seems like I am more than you based on how you were talking, even though I wouldn't have guessed it. In the list of things that make someone a people pleaser, in many cases, I'm not afraid to show my opinion, like to express my opinion. So that is not a people pleasing aspect. But I think, I mean, now I have healthier boundaries, but I do struggle to say no to people. Like a lot of the time, the reason I'll avoid interactions with people is I don't want to be like sucked into something, even just
Oh,
like,
you're afraid they're gonna, if they ask, you'll say yes. So if you just avoid it
yeah,
in the first place, you don't have to
right,
have them ask.
right. Or even like, I get this a lot. And I mean, a lot of the time it's with friends, but it's like, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I get a lot of people sometimes not venting, but like sometimes I'll get a lot of kind of long intense conversations, which I really enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I'm like not in the headspace for it.
Mm.
And they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, am I?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 it's fine. It's
It
fine.
takes up
Please
your
go on."
time though, right?
Takes up my time. Yeah, it's basically the way I am with my time.
Yeah.
I'll feel bad if someone hears that and thinks that it's them. It's not you. Whoever's listening, it's not you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about someone else.
That can happen from
It can
anyone
happen
at
with
any
anyone.
time. Yeah,
Well, that's
depending
the
on
thing. It's
the yeah.
it's it's on me. It's when I don't feel like it, and I just need to learn to just not like just to say I'm not in the mood for it right now, but or something like that.
Right.
But I tend to be like, well, I can handle it, and then it's fine. It'll make them feel better, and then I'll be happy that they feel better, and then that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think more recently I've become more aware of my tendency to kind of to people please to the point sometimes that I would it's not even just like I can't express my own preferences, it's that I no longer know what I want because I'm overwhelmed by my concern for what the other person wants.
Right,
I don't know if that
right.
makes sense.
You can't even think about what you want because you're focused too much on them.
Yeah, like it's almost like I'm more attuned to what they want and need than I am to what I do. And even if they ask me, I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know. What do I want?"
Does it hit you later upon reflection?
Um, upon reflection, sometimes like it'll be sometimes or it'll be like, "Oh, why do I feel resentful? Maybe that wasn't actually what I wanted. Oh, I
Mm.
have to and kind of figure it out." So,
So building resentment is a problem that comes from this
for
people
sure.
pleasing,
So
right?
that
Because and that's what I personally don't want to do with people. I'm fearful of building resentment towards anybody because I wouldn't want anyone to
yeah.
build resentment towards me. So that's when I know, to be honest, if I think it's something that could build resentment later. If it
Mm,
won't, if I don't think I'll be resentful towards them
yeah.
in any way, like, yeah, that's usually when I'm like, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Yes to this, yes to that. Totally fine. If I think it's going to jeopardize that or be some sort of wedge in the relationship, even temporarily,
Mm,
that's when I got to be honest and it kicks in there.
right.
But I have a question. So one of the negatives of people pleasing is that, or for some people, is that they tend to be fake or they pretend to agree
Mm.
to things that they don't really want. Right? Do you feel like you do that? Are you fake sometimes
Um,
in order to make somebody happy?
I don't think that I mean, of course I'm gonna say I don't think I'm fake, but I really it doesn't feel fake if I really, really don't want something and it's clear, then I'll just say so. I think the real problem is like if I'm in situations where I'm too attuned to the other person or I care too much sounds like I care too much, but like if I care too much about them being happy, I just have a hard time actually knowing what I want or like it's not a oh, I really think this, but I'm gonna say this.
Right. Like the
It's
fakeness is
never that
the fakeness is
clear for
you
me.
want, but you don't tell them. So that's the fake, right? You
Yeah,
hide
mine's
that.
more
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't know, so it's not that kind of thing. Well, here's the thing. So like there's like kind of two aspects of the people pleasiness here. One is more like really going to cause resentment because it's the one where you go and you do the thing you don't want to do,
Mm,
right? To please somebody else. But then there's the like if it's like a two-step process, you say you're going to do and then you do. Some people do the first step, they're agreeable. They say yes, 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 yes. And then
right.
when it comes to doing,
Yeah.
they don't show up. So there's a negative, right? Because you didn't want to say no,
Yeah.
but you're not going to do it.
I see. Yes. Do you have an example of that?
I mean, for sure. I have friends. I have friends who, yeah, hey, you're gonna help me on this film shoot? Can you come, please? I would need you. Oh, yeah, 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 for sure. Whatever you need. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
They have, hey, I need you here, and they don't show up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or last minute, oh, I actually can't. Well, you said you could. Well, I didn't want to say no.
Oh my
It's
god.
like, oh my,
Yeah.
it causes more problems.
Yeah, yeah.
That one is like bound to cause a problem.
Right.
I especially, that's a really bad form of people pleasing where you say yes to things that you're not going to do.
Yeah. I'll only do that if it's a very non-committal thing. Like, "Oh, yeah, sure." Like, sometimes you'll say, "Hey, do you wanna do an episode on this sometime?" "Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, sounds good." And I'm like, "That won't be a problem till later," and I get to push it off because we have hundreds of ideas, so
Yep. I like to hold people to their word. I'm kind of on the opposite end of this sometimes too, right? Because of the nature of what I do, being a film director, I often ask people for help
Hmm,
or I might need something. Like, hey, can you help me on set?
yeah,
Hey, can we use your location? Hey, can you help do this art for me? And some of these people I work with they're people pleasers.
right.
And I mean, they won't some these people will say yes and they'll do it.
Okay.
And then sometimes, we've had discussions later where they were building up some resentment because they just didn't know how to say no to me.
Mm,
They say like one of the things to do if you want to like kind of break out of being a people pleaser is don't give too many excuses if you want to say no.
yeah. Yeah.
Because if you give too many excuses, you start giving like people give me excuses. I'm a smart guy, right?
Are
I'm
you?
thinking
Huh.
I'm okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm
I,
contextually
I'm
here.
just kidding.
Okay.
Yes, you're smart, Josh. You're fine. You're
Okay,
smart. Okay.
contextually here. Not when I was in elementary school with you guys, apparently, according to Daniel Botner, but
What? We said you're smart. Everyone considered you smart. They're just not as smart as me, but
yeah,
that's still the
exactly.
case. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please cut that. I'm
No, it's
totally joking,
cool.
Josh.
No, we're leaving that in because I'm editing this episode.
But you write all of our descriptions, and I let you write them.
That's just work ethic. That's not intelligent. Okay, we're getting off topic here. All right,
Anyways, yeah, totally
not
off
making
topic.
too many excuses, right?
Uh-huh.
That's something you shouldn't do because if you make excuses, somebody will try to find a way to like account for those excuses. That someone is often me.
Mm.
I'm like, hey, can you come to help me on set this Sunday? I might ask,
Hmm.
and somebody might think, oh, I don't want to do it, but I don't want to say no, so they'll say, oh, I have something on Sunday. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I go, oh, okay, how about Friday then?
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, oh.
Oh, I have to think of another excuse now. I just don't
Exactly,
want to
and
do
I'm
it,
really good
man.
at
Yeah.
I'm really good at working around people's excuses because I want people to be honest with me because
Oh,
I'm
okay.
thinking I'm being nice. Oh, they want to, they just can't.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna work
You're
around
not being
them.
nice though. No.
Yeah. So I don't, so having too many excuses
Mm.
can be a problem. It really just comes down to being
Backfires.
able to say no. And you can say no to something and be empathetic about it. You can tell somebody, look, I understand what you need and explain why you can't.
Yeah.
That's much more efficient.
Yeah.
And I wish
For
people
sure.
would do that if they want to say no to me.
Mm.
It's the most frustrating when people don't want to say no,
Yeah.
but they're trying to find a way to basically say
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess on the other hand, I deal with people pleasers because of all the number of people I need to
Mm.
try to get to help me on projects.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't want to build resentment towards people. So my people pleasing comes into a sense of like, I want those people to be happy with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't want them to build resentment towards me. So I have kind of, so I, like I said, I don't want people to be upset at me. Like it kills me if someone's upset at me.
Mm.
Right? I can't take it. I need to solve it. I need that communication. I can't like go to bed with like my girlfriend angry at me at night. I will keep her up to solve this. I can't do it.
Huh.
And that goes for almost any of my friends. Like I can't sleep if I think somebody's upset at me. So this is a
Right.
this is a real people pleasing aspect.
Mm.
But that when let's say I'm working on a film, that often conflicts with my need to get
Things
a
done.
result.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I need the shot. I need this for the story. I'm running out of time, but this person seems like they might be upset,
Mm.
but I have no other choice.
Right.
And it's like I have this like little battle in my head. So what I end up doing often if I really need something is I push and then I might make them upset, but I get what I want.
Mm.
And then it's a lot of apologizing.
Right.
that follows it until
Mm.
everything's okay because I feel like I have this like no-win situation
Yeah.
because I'm in a position with my job that I need to get things from other people,
Yeah.
but I don't want them upset at me. But how many people are upset with their bosses all the time? And they're not all their bosses are psychopaths,
Yeah. No, I mean, having people upset with you is just going to happen sometimes. You can't
especially when you're
really.
in a position of leadership,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
People
Yeah.
expect they don't see it from your point of view, especially if they have to do work for you, right?
Mm.
I might need some music from somebody who's composing music for me. And here's a perfect example of where like the people pleasing and the wanting to get a result kind of conflict, right?
Mm.
Someone works a long time on this piece of music for me and they send it my way and it's not quite what I want. So I send them back again to do more work. They bring it back, I tell them what I want, but it still didn't come back the way I wanted. Maybe because I didn't give a good enough direction, maybe
Mm.
because they didn't quite understand what I was going for. Either way, comes back a few times, right? Gets to that point where it's like they clearly don't want to have to go back again,
Right.
but I clearly haven't gotten what I wanted yet.
Yeah.
Do I just say, so they don't have any resentment towards me? Do I just kind of
Mm.
take this music and try to make it work, or do I send them back again?
Mm.
and I get in this, like, it's always the worst, right? And it's always a lot of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know I'm sending you back again. You worked so hard on this thing. I
Yeah.
just, I want us both to be happy with this.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important. Like the I'm sorry helps a lot. Like I realize like validating how they're probably feeling, like that
Yeah.
helps a lot.
And we're Canadians, we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's not, there's only so many times you can apologize before they're like, I'm working. People get frustrated.
Mm,
So these things are almost in conflict a little bit, right?
right.
I almost wish sometimes I was one of those people. I just tell people what to do. I don't care what they think,
Yeah.
get what I want, and put it out of my
Yeah.
mind. But I'm not, because I have a little thing called empathy, and I'm putting
What a
myself in
bummer.
there.
Fucking empathy.
No,
What a
I'm putting
pain in the
myself in
ass.
their place.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
What such a fool.
I don't know. Those two things conflict for me a lot. But I don't know. What about you? Do you ever
Well,
find
wait.
yourself
Wait,
in
I'm
that
not done
position?
with you.
Oh, not done.
Uh
I'm not done with you.
I'm not done with you. But wait, you can't handle someone being angry at you. Is that
I
do
really
you think
can't handle
that's
it.
but isn't that something that's often out of your control?
Well, if someone's angry at me and it's because of something I think that I did,
Mm,
is that out of my control? Like, their anger in that moment, like, can't I help? I often think if I just communicate with them and get them to understand
maybe.
or hear my apology,
Maybe you're just annoying them until they're like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm not mad at you anymore."
maybe. But also sometimes I do think sometimes distance and stewing in your own thoughts can, like,
Mm,
lead to negative assumptions. So I at least
right.
want to clear any assumptions,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay, that's a good call. I think
And
that's
usually
smart.
communication helps to do that.
Mm,
But it's true, sometimes just someone needs space from me. Let's say they've been working with me
mm,
nonstop,
for sure. Yeah.
right? It's just been nonstop calling, sending them back and forth to do stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, "Look, we're friends. I just need like a fucking week." Like,
Right.
and I'm like, "Absolutely." But if there's any,
Yeah.
yep, they're like, "That's it. That's all I need from you." I'm like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool."
Does that happen a lot?
A lot, no, but it's happened from time to time, given the nature of one, what I do, and I guess who I am. I'm a bit neurotic.
What?
I have some perfectionistic tendencies,
No. Really?
you know? And
Ah,
I like
okay.
to consider myself a good communicator, but there's times when I'm not?
Oh, you've got some good communication skills.
But when you're trying to get something specific from somebody, it can be very hard, no matter how good a communicator you
Yeah.
are. And sometimes it's trial and error. And trial and error can mean a lot of work, a lot of exhaustion, and a potential buildup of resentment from people. So
Mm.
yeah, but that being said, it's weird. So I'm like a director. I'm supposed to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I want everyone to like me. I feel
Oh.
like it's like Michael Scott in The Office.
Yeah.
It's a weird dichotomy.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Do you feel like you need praise to feel good? Because that's one of the signs of
Um,
people pleasing.
yeah. I think I struggle with that one, but probably like I like to think that I don't, but I probably do.
Because a lot of it comes from like little bits of like insecurity or low self
Yeah.
esteem type of
I
thing,
don't know
right?
about praise. I need approval. So
Okay.
approval is kind of a big one, which is like, is this not good enough? Am I not good enough? Is this so? I mean, I was trying to think of examples of like people pleasing, and it's this kind of a old example because I was a kid, but we did these dance exams. So it was like,
Hmm.
I did different kinds of dance when I was younger, and like, so you'd have an exam where you do stuff and they write down notes and then you read the notes after. And I must have been like 10 or 11, maybe even younger actually. It was a really young one, so maybe like 8 or 9. Anyways, so I was looking on my dance exam and I remember it saying something like works hard to please about me
Hmm.
based on my dancing somehow. And I was like,
Hmm.
works hard to please. And you know, when you're a kid and you're like, is that good or bad? Like, all I wanted to know was, are they happy with me or upset with me? Is this good? Is this bad? Is
Yeah.
this, and I couldn't tell if that was a good thing or a bad thing. Works hard to please. I'm like, on the one hand, it's saying I'm working hard. I'm trying to please, but is it saying that I'm succeeding or is it saying that it's clear that I'm trying? But you know what I mean?
I
It
do.
was kind of,
Yeah.
so I remember wondering as a kid, and I think now when I look back, it's like it was clear even from the outside that I was doing what I was doing for some kind of approval.
Right. Right.
And it wasn't kind of a genuine expression. It was like, am I doing okay? Is this okay? Am I doing this right? You know, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
which isn't the best kind of energy to be giving off, especially when it's something that should be kind of more authentic, more expressive. You don't want it to be
Yeah.
done for with other people in mind. I mean, to an extent, yes, but
Yeah. I mean, there are some actors that I've worked with. There's one I'm
Mm,
thinking of in particular. He's one of my favorite people. I love working with this guy. Wonderful man. He's an elderly gentleman.
mm.
I just remember, like, he's so good. He's so good at acting. He's so good at what he does. And after every take, he could be like, is it good? Did I do a good job? Is it all right?
Oh,
You can tell me. You can tell me. You can tell me if it's not good.
yeah,
I'll change it. I'll change what you want. Right? I'm like, no, it's great. But in his
yeah,
mind, he's thinking, I can see it. Like he's thinking, oh, he's
yeah.
just telling me that, but he doesn't really believe it. So he's trying to
Oh
like get ahead of that. I'm
no.
like, no, look, this is my movie. I need it to be
Yeah,
good. And trust me, I'm
yeah,
going to be honest with you.
yeah.
When I tell you you're good, it's for both of us. Trust me,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but there's that genuine sense of like, well, I guess that's kind of a thing about like a lot of actors have,
Like
they
an
have that,
insecurity.
yeah, they have that insecurity, that sense of approval, right?
Mm,
That they need, especially, the director will tell them, right? Was it
right.
good or was it
Yeah.
bad? Oftentimes, I don't have an easy answer for them because it's not good or bad. Some people like to
Mm,
think it's good or bad. Sometimes it's just different.
mm.
So I get into this place where it's like, I tell them, could we try it this way instead? And they think, oh, I did it badly. I'm like, you didn't do it badly. You did it great, but I want it differently than you did it before. This is, let's say you do it this way with more energy. Let's try it with lower energy. One's not bad, one's not wrong. It's just different.
Mm.
But you get a lot of
Sometimes
people
it's
thinking,
bad though, right? No.
I mean, there's some things we perceive to be bad,
Mm.
but a lot of times it's just not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
But people pleasers often perceive that as bad.
Right.
And it's only good if they
Yeah.
get the approval, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's important to note the difference between getting somebody's approval.
Mm-hmm.
It just means it's what they want. It doesn't mean it's good. In fact, I could be a bad director.
Right.
I could be asking them for them to do something bad or worse.
Yeah.
That's what I want. But they think they did a good job if they, so
Yeah.
there's a difference between those two things.
But it is helpful to have a bit of that like need to please, because otherwise it's like, no, I did it fine the first time. I don't want to do it
Hmm.
your way, right? So there's a little bit of that. So it
There's an,
can be, there is a good side to being
yes,
agreeable and
of course.
trying hard to do well, or
I mean, I have the opposite example as well.
right, of
Another
course.
actor I've worked with where like I remember being like, "Yeah, can we try it this other way?" And they're like, "I did it great. I did exactly what you wanted." And I'm like,
Oh my God.
"Yeah, yeah, you totally did. You did. I just want to try it another way right now." They're like, "Then why did you ask me to do it that way?"
Oh my God.
And it's like, sometimes I'll like put it on me too. I'll be like,
Yeah.
because I'm a bad director. Okay, can we do it this way now? Like, what do you want me to
Can
put
we
it
get
on me?
yeah. I feel like that's you working with me sometimes. I'll be like, oh, do we have to? And you'll be like, well, no, it's just that I already did it. I don't want to do it again. But that's more.
There was this one girl I remember I brought her on set and she was like, just so you know, Josh, I only take 3 takes maximum until I get it right. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
cool. Wow, that's amazing. She's like, yeah, so you're only gonna need 3 takes at most. I'm like, that that's wonderful. And sometimes the camera screws up though. So sometimes our sound goes out, but I'm
Yeah.
sure you so I was noting to myself, if there's ever like if there's a
Yeah.
problem, I'm gonna tell her it's technical. We got to do it again. And why don't we like why don't we
Did
try
that
it
happen? Yeah.
differently right now since
Right.
we have the time?
Yeah. Did you have issues with her? Did it only take her 3 takes every time?
It's like a little bit diva-ish, I guess. Kind of.
Very diva-ish, it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. The shoot went okay. It's just you kind of have to put up to different personalities, and that's the thing.
Right.
I find myself people pleasing to different personalities, but sometimes it's to get what I want.
Mm.
But it's true that I do have this kind of as part of my personality. I want the room to be comfortable. I want the people around me to feel
Mm.
comfortable. And just outside of like filmmaking, just something that I do that's I guess very people pleasy. It's not like a specific I'm pleasing them. It's that I want them to, like I said, I want them to feel comfortable in the room.
Uh-huh.
So I will often put myself down. I will make myself the fool
Mm.
in a situation in order to make everybody else feel comfortable.
Right.
And that can have its positives, right? It can actually make people feel like, because some people feel threatened by other personalities. And I don't want to ever feel like a threat to people. I like to be the, oh, don't mind me.
Yeah, I never would have considered you like a threatening personality, but
Well, that's the thing. And I make sure I try hard to not be.
oh, so that's because you've cultivated that.
But not, it's not only that, like, think about it. there's things people hear that can, in my mind, if I were them, could sound threatening. Like Mr. Director over here is coming by, Mr. Big
I just
Shot
assume you're not a
Director.
real in my mind, you're not a real director. You're just Josh who
Exactly.
who
Exactly.
calls
And I like
himself a
to,
filmmaker.
yeah,
I don't know
I
how
like
you
to
appreciate
cultivate that.
this.
Some people say
Yeah.
that's a really bad thing because there are some people who appreciate that. Let's be honest. Like other people who are empathetic, they understand, oh, I see what he's doing. He's just,
Like the kind of self-effacing
yeah,
humility
it's
that
a bit
you've
of a
got going on.
self-effacing
Okay.
thing, again, to make everybody feel comfortable around me. But then there are other people who see that and they don't realize that's what you're doing, and they think, "Oh, that guy's a fool."
Really?
And they,
No, I don't think
yes,
so. I think
yes,
that's weird though. Then they're
yes.
stupid.
Well, I'm not gonna go to any ad hominem attacks here, but I'm just
I
saying
think if
they
anything, you're not self-effacing enough. No, I'm just kidding. That's rude.
there's a, I mean,
Uh,
especially like in a conversation like where I meet a bunch of people, I will often make myself out to be this like goof, somebody who's kind of like,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
I
do that
don't,
too. I think I do that too.
we both have elements of this for sure.
Okay.
I think you probably have a
Maybe I
higher,
don't.
there's a certain level of it I think you don't want to be seen. Like you're very clear in certain ways about not being seen as like
Am
an
I?
idiot. There's
Tell
certain
me. Tell
things.
me about this. Ooh, I want to hear. I want to hear. Tell me.
No, I think you will hold yourself to a, I guess it's also the roles we end up playing, right? It's kind of the role like I ended up falling into this role of being bullied before, right?
Mhm.
And even to this day, I can fall into that because of this personality type that I have. I let
Mm.
myself be someone you can kind of walk over, make fun of to make everybody feel comfortable.
Right.
I don't think I see yourself sometimes as you don't fall into that role amongst people.
No, I
You're not
don't.
going to let
Okay.
yourself be made fun of to that degree, you know?
That's true. Oh, no, not being made fun of by other people, but I would make fun of myself. But that's different.
I had an ex who, like, this was surprising to me. Like I realized this more because like I would be in a room with my friends and her, and they would like make fun of me a little bit, like as friends. You know, they're my friends, but that was kind of our interaction, right? And they'd try to get her like approval in on it, like, yeah, let's make fun of
Mm.
Josh a little bit. And she's like, no, Josh is great.
Aw, that's so
She's like,
cute.
why would I say that? He's like, no.
That's
And
good.
I'm like, "Oh, he's just joking around." She's like, I don't care.
Oh,
Like, you know, we don't, you know,
oh,
I don't
that's
believe in doing
nice.
it, right? That was a nice thing, I thought.
That is a
It was
nice
a,
thing.
I mean, it's a little bit overboard to me sometimes. I'm like, look, this is
Right.
just, some things were just like a joke.
Yeah.
But she was like, look, you let that happen a little bit, it
Yeah.
it'll keep going on. You need to have some
Right.
boundaries,
Oh, that's
right? And
nice.
that's part of the people pleasing aspect, right?
Yeah.
So I did actually learned a little bit from that too. Like I do need to have
Hmm.
some boundaries about letting people kind of make me the joke,
For
make
sure.
me,
Yeah.
you know, everybody, you know, getting to feel comfortable by stepping on me.
Yeah. It's not fair to you either.
So boundaries, I think, is a really important thing. Would you agree? Like, if you
Uh,
want to not be as negatively people pleasing.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the number one. I think healthy boundaries is probably the number one thing that's on the list of, ways to deal with people pleasing if it's kind of a negative thing, right? And being aware that your own needs are as important as someone else's. I mean, sometimes that
Hmm.
is what takes practice, is saying, like, okay, wait,
Yeah.
I want this thing. And actually, it's just as important as what this other person wants. And that seems, to me, that has seemed, I'm like, no, of course it doesn't, because I don't really care. Like, it's what I want, but I don't care enough to make a big deal about it or to argue about it or to tell them that they shouldn't get what they want because I want this other thing. It's like, having permission to prioritize your own needs or to say no to something or to, yeah, have healthy boundaries and say, like, actually, I don't really, it's not too funny. Your jokes about me, like, thanks, but I was bullied, in your case, like, thanks, but I was
Yeah.
bullied enough as a kid.
Yeah. That's a
I don't
real.
need your adult version of this
But
shit.
why is
Like,
that such an issue for some people? Right? It's because it feels like a confrontation, like a conflict.
right.
And people pleasing, isn't the whole thing like you want to avoid conflict?
Yes, exactly. So that's the thing. It is a very hard thing to do. And I think, like, the key isn't to start with something aggressive like what I just said. Like,
Yeah.
it's more, there are ways to kind of diffuse that with humor or to kind
It's a
of
bit of an art, right?
a bit, yeah, yeah, kind of, it's like a keto. Like,
Yeah, it is.
use
You
their
take
force
it,
against
turn
the,
it
yeah.
around. Yeah.
I like that we both did the movements there, right? We've both done some Aikido. It's
Yeah.
using your opponent's force against them, right?
Yeah. I'm impressed with certain people's ability to say no in a very
Yeah.
artful, to me, it's artful kind of way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going, wow, how did you say that without sounding like an asshole? Because we often perceive saying no to be kind of like a conflict.
Potentially.
That's why
Yeah.
we don't want to do it. We're going to cause a conflict if we say no, and I don't want to cause a conflict, so I'm going to say yes,
Mm, right.
right? Or I'm going to, they say one of the ways to like stop the people pleasing kind of thing is to stall, right? Say, I'm going to need some time
Right.
to think about it.
Mm,
Do you mind if I take some time to think about it? Then it's easier to come back and say, hey,
yeah.
I thought about it. I just don't think I can.
Yeah. That's a good one. And I mean, I say things like, oh, I just need to check my calendar because I don't know. Like I keep everything in my calendar. I don't know right now.
Yeah.
So I'll check and I'll get
Yeah.
back to you.
I'll
That
get
kind of
back to
thing.
you. Yeah.
I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. But then people who are just good at saying no, coming back to this.
Mm,
I
yeah.
have this one friend, Holden. His name's Holden. Uh,
Caulfield?
he was named for Holden Caulfield, I think.
Oh.
He's a wonderful guy. If he's listening to this podcast right now, you're awesome, Holden. Holden was just
Anyone
actually,
named after a literary character is generally awesome. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
He's also was just in my movie that I just
Oh,
shot. He's one of the actors in the film. And he used to live with me in the house too.
cool.
But anyway, Holden is such a I've always been impressed with his ability to just straight up tell you no to something.
Yeah.
But the way he does it, you'd be like, "Hey, Holden, is it all right?" Sometimes in the house, people don't realize this is what can trigger that, right? They'll ask if they can, like, "Oh, can I try some of your food? Can I try some of that?"
Hmm.
Most people, even people who aren't hugely people pleasing, find it really hard to say no if someone says, "Hey, can I try some of your chips?" or whatever it is, right?
Right.
They're often going to feel inclined to say yes, even if they don't want to.
Mm.
Holden was really good at always saying, "No, I'd prefer not."
I'd prefer not. That's great.
Or
Yeah.
I don't know the exact words. I can't even tell
Yeah.
you. It's how he says it. It was very direct, but I'd always
Yeah.
be like, respect. Like,
Yeah.
like he'd say, it's like, thank you for being honest. I feel like I can ask actually because I know he's just going to be honest with me. I get scared with people I think are too people pleasy that if
Mm.
I ask, I have to figure out
Right.
whether they really, if they say yes, whether they really meant yes or not.
Right. So really the boundary setting is helpful for everyone because nobody really, well, some people maybe, but generally people don't want to be the type that's getting you to do things that you don't want to do because you're afraid of saying no. Like if they're good people, if they're good friends, they want you to be honest, really. Like even if they
Exactly.
don't think they do,
Mhm.
even if it hurts for a second to have someone say, no, I'd rather you don't eat my food. It ultimately it's like, okay, great. Now I know that if you say yes, you actually really don't care and I don't have to
Exactly.
feel guilty about it.
Exactly. I like when people
So,
are honest because then
yeah.
otherwise it causes also, we forget what it causes in the other person's brain if they're not a
Right.
terrible person, right? If they get a sense
Yeah.
that they're trying to people please. Like I
Mm,
have a couple friends, again, wonderful friends of mine, but like when they say yes, I don't always trust it. Like I have to ask them again
yeah.
and again. Like, look, if you can't, if you don't want to, if I sense some hesitation, even after they say yes again, I'm going, you know what,
Mm,
never mind. They're like, no, 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 no.
yeah.
I'm like, no, no, it's, you know what, last time you did a lot. I'll find somebody else for this. Don't worry about it.
Mm,
I'm still looking even as I'm saying that to see.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the mental mind games.
For sure. And I mean it's interesting because you want to be with other people who care, who are empathetic. So I mean for me, I think an easy example to think of where I fall into people pleasing potentially or is in relationships, right? So and I mean you
Yeah,
mentioned that as well, right? Like and I mean that makes sense. You're kind of it's a closer relationship and you care a lot about the other person's happiness. So often I mean, if the other person has like really intense preferences, which in one case, this guy has super intense preferences. So I was like, sure, whatever you want, that's fine. I don't care.
yeah.
But eventually you kind of care. Or I became like, this is such a dumb one, but I didn't, he preferred, let's say, Domino's pizza. Actually, this is accurate. This isn't even like a made up example. He was like, no, I like Domino's. I don't want any other pizza, like in terms of like the cheap, easy pizza. And I was like, oh, but I like pizza's multigrain. Like,
Wait, you
I
like
kind of want,
pizza?
I like their dipping sauce better. I like Domino's, don't get me wrong, because they have more sauce, but the garlic dipping sauce at Domino's is not nearly as good as like the creamy garlic from Pizza.
I mean, I look, all pizza's good. We'll start with that. But pizza. I like honestly, we don't have pizza in the
No,
United
listen, I
States,
like
and you know what? Good.
what? No, 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 no. Wait.
Domino's is, I get it. It's cheap, whatever, fast food pizza, but it's good cheap fast food pizza, in my opinion.
You think Domino's is that much better than pizza? So I understand saying
Yes.
like, oh yeah, proper like good thin crust pizza is better. I don't think there's anything wrong with. All right, you know what? We're not going to get into this argument.
This is what we got to talk about now for the rest of the
Yeah, now we got to
episode.
just talk about pizza. But the thing is, so we would always get and I like Domino's because I actually like their sauce to cheese ratio better.
Look
So
how honest we're being with each other like this, right? We're not trying to
yeah,
please each other about this. I like that.
no, but
Uh,
at the time, I thought like, I mean, I was young and naive. I thought you have to agree on everything. Like, I can't disagree with this. Like, then I won't
mm.
be like a good girl. He won't like me. I don't know what I thought. Some insecurity there. Yeah.
Do you feel like women, girls are they socialized to be more people pleasy basically than guys?
So that's actually a great question. And I don't know if it's a combination of how we're socialized, but there's some correlation between being a people pleaser and having high agreeableness. Agreeableness being like one of the big five
Hmm.
personality traits. And generally, if you look at those big five personality traits, the women generally tend to be higher in agreeableness than men.
And girls are
But
taught to be more that way too, right? It feels
right,
like
so whether that's a combination of, I don't know, socio-biological or
factors.
factors, whatever it is, it's always hard to parse those kinds of things out. And generally, women are seen a little bit more negatively if they're less agreeable or more assertive.
Hmm.
So
Shouldn't be the case.
it shouldn't be
I
the
know. I
case,
know. I've
but
heard that
often
from
it
you.
is the case, right? That unfortunately,
Oh,
that is often the
he's
case.
being in charge. She's being a bitch, right? Like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so that's the classic. I mean, hopefully it's changing. It seems like in some ways it
I
might
hope
be,
so.
but yeah,
I mean, this can lead to really heavy, like we're talking in a more light sense, but like that kind of thing. And if girls are more people pleasy that kind of
mm,
way, that can be a really, really, really bad thing in some cases, right?
for
Especially,
sure.
you know,
Yes,
sexually and stuff like that, right? Like people, that's where it gets really, people say legally this or that, whatever. But like when it comes down to it, someone doing something they don't want to do
yeah,
is really, that's scary. Just a people please.
right. Sometimes it's just hard. It's so much easier to just go along with it than say no.
Hmm.
Yes,
And
and
I can tell you as a guy, like, what's one of the things like I was taught, like, I don't know if I was taught from like a teacher, it's kind of peers, right? But just kind of like in the society, in the culture, yeah, you got to be persistent.
oh,
There's literally like rom-coms, romance movies out there
right.
saying like, yeah, you just got to keep trying. Girls love
That's definitely a
persistence.
problem.
They
No,
love it when a guy keeps trying and pushing and pushing. And so you learn that a little bit and you think, oh, I just got to try harder. And the guys will tell you, oh, you didn't push enough. And then you're like kind of weak if you didn't do that. And
no, you're
you
a
could
nice
be,
person if you didn't push too hard.
yeah. So,
There's also the no means no. So then but sometimes it's even
yeah.
hard because if the woman is very people pleasy, she doesn't want us like you men with your fragile egos. Maybe we don't want to crush you. Like,
I mean, that combination is really dangerous, right? Guys being
yeah,
pushy with fragile ego,
yeah,
plus a girl who wants to people please and not hurt his feelings,
right,
and him not realizing that because he's objectifying her because he's not mature enough to realize otherwise. And you get a really bad combination sometimes,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, really scary.
yeah, yeah. So back to my no.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to your story, but yeah,
It's
sorry.
not a real story. So basically, my point was then I was in that kind of relationship, and that I was talking about pizza, but that kind of went into everything, right? His preferences were so strong that I ended up kind of pushing mine aside, and I was like, it's fine. And then when I was in a relationship with someone more like me,
Mhm.
it ended up being like, but wait, what do you want? I'd be like, but what do you want? And it was
Yep.
like nobody could decide, and
Yeah.
there's kind of like a kind of mind reading situation that starts to go on.
Ugh.
It's like, well, I think that you actually want this, but no, you want this. Are you just saying that because you think that I want this? And it's like but it takes a lot of practice for those I'd rather be in a relationship with that kind of person, to be honest, because then you at least like both people care what the other person wants. You can work from that.
Yeah.
You can work from that.
But like, for example, I think I'm in that right now a little bit where it's like, what do you want? What do you want? But it's not really the same scenario, right? When I ask, what do you want? I mean it. Like, I don't really
Right.
care, right?
So you
And
have to be
so,
honest.
but
Yes,
here's the thing.
yes.
But when I'm honest, again, maybe it's because of the people, because they're thinking of themselves and what they do. But like, yes, I would prefer this other thing over this.
Mm,
But if I eat this, I will still be okay.
Right.
Oh, okay, meaning you're not really happy? Is that what it
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I'm genuinely I'll be okay. I'll be happy that I'm eating this still because I'm gonna like it still, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be happy, and those 2 things together are really worth it for me. I'm not gonna feel resentful. I'd like to get my thing at some point,
Yeah.
if we do this, once in a while, but I mean it this time.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, there's gonna be times when I'm like, "I want an acai bowl right now." You know?
Right.
That's what I want.
But really honesty, but it sounds like you guys are being honest, so that seems good to me. Like I think sometimes like I've been also like, are you sure, do you actually want to do this, or are you just trying to be nice? And I'm like, I would say, because at this point in my life, I'm like, I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore. Listen, I'm an
Mhm.
adult. I don't want to do something, I say so. I'm over the whole like, so maybe I'm not as people pleasy as I think, but like
Depends,
but
it's
it's
contextual a little
important.
bit,
It is
right?
contextual, yeah. I'm like, do I ever do something I really don't want to do? Don't I tell you exactly what I think? Don't I have zero filters, right? Like, I think
In
lack
that
of
sense.
filters helps.
But
Yeah.
you also have that little bit of a, like, conflict there because you have this, like, lack of filter aspect to yourself where you just wanna say what's on your mind,
Yeah.
but then, "Oh, no, I think I upset Josh."
Yeah.
Like
It's really
like
bad
like,
actually.
I have that too. Like, I wanna, like I told you, I wanna in another episode, like, I wanna push buttons, I wanna find
Yeah.
inconsistencies in other people, but
Yeah.
then I also don't want you upset at me, and I didn't really wanna push that
Right.
far, so now I'm
I
apologizing,
know.
and I'm sorry, and I won't do it again, and, "Well, can I buy you dinner? Here's some food. I don't have any money, but here's all my money." You know? What can I do?
It's yeah. No, it's true. And I also have that like I was asking like, oh, you can't handle someone being angry at you. I cannot at all handle someone being angry at me, as I think.
You can dish it, but you sure can't take it, sunshine.
Exactly. As our lovely
Mrs. Delaney used to
Mrs.
say to
Delaney
you.
used to tell us. Yeah.
Us, no, she just said it to you, I think, right?
She just said that one to me. That's right. Yeah.
Flashback. I feel like I just triggered you by saying
Yeah,
that.
no, I just kind of blanked out. Yeah, she used to tell me that. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. I just really couldn't take it. I could dish it out, but not take it. It's funny.
So
Yeah.
wait, we talked about, like, setting boundaries. Like,
Hmm.
what are different things in general you can do to
Okay.
let's say you don't wanna be as people pleasy because it's
Right.
too much. Because again, we discussed that being people pleasy can be a good thing,
Mm.
right? Obviously, it's built on empathy
Uh-huh. Yeah. Often. Yeah.
to a degree, right? It's like, yeah, it's you're understanding what the other person wants.
Yes.
The real issue is when you start to ignore too much what you want.
Right.
I mean, for me, the best case scenario is to try to, like, do both.
Mm.
Try to
For
empathize with
sure.
other people while communicating what you want. If there is a choice, then you have to make a decision how much you can take. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
But, like, what are the things you can do to stop that from going too far? Your people pleasing.
Right. Well, I think a big one is internal versus external validation. So looking
Mhm.
for validation from yourself without needing kind of other people's approval or
Right,
praise, like you were saying,
right, right.
because that means that you kind of are standing on your own and saying like, this is okay, and I don't need to be looking outward to get that
Hmm.
approval, I guess. Yeah.
Well, let's say somebody asks you to help with them, and you want. Let's give it a specific example here, right?
Okay.
Someone asks you to move. Hey, are you free this weekend to help me move? And you're really not sure that you are.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you can do to not
Right.
immediately say yes because you're a people pleaser?
Well, I would say I'm not sure. I need to check. There's the
So
stalling
stall.
tactic.
The stall tactic
So
is
say I'm not
one thing you
sure.
can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll check and get back to you. There's
Hmm.
the I'm so bad at moving. There's the I have a bad back.
Well, oh, okay, but I'm so bad at moving and I have a bad back. What's the problem with those?
Over explaining, maybe.
There's too many excuses right there, right?
Right,
Someone
right,
can
right.
find a way around unless that's the honest answer.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're just but, like, "I'm so bad at moving," someone tells me that, I'd be like, "No worries about it. I'm gonna tell you
Moving,
exactly what to do.
that's such a
You'll
hard
be there.
example
It's not an
though.
issue."
Whoever wants to move, like, I mean, actually that's not true. I have
I've
helped
had
friends
people that
move
help.
and it
Yeah.
hasn't been like really fun, and it's been very fun. So like
Okay, it can be,
it
but it is
can be
also a lot
fun.
of it's a work and it's time, like,
Yeah, it mostly sucks. Be like,
especially if you're exhausted.
you can set time, you can kind of set a clear boundary. So you could say something like, I have I have like a 2 hour window. I could help you for a bit
Yes. So
on this day.
limit your time frame to help.
Right. So that it's
That
not
is
like a whole
exactly one
day
of the
thing.
things, yeah,
Great.
that
Yeah. you've got a
Yeah,
list there, and I'm trying to.
I've got a
Oh my
little bit
God,
of a list.
let me try to get proper approval by getting
Yeah,
all of these right on the list. How okay.
that was great. But limiting your time frame is really important. Again,
Right.
if you're not sure, but you want to help, but you're not sure you can do it the whole time, well, then that's part of being honest.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can I give you 2 hours of my time?
Yeah.
You'd say between noon and 2,
Yeah.
will that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have to go somewhere after. I have to do this. I have to take time for myself. I didn't get much sleep, but I can give you 2 hours. You're
Yeah. I mean,
bargaining,
and you don't need to
basically.
give all those excuses, I think. Like, I need time for myself. I need this and this. Be like,
You don't
I
have
can
to,
do this
unless
and
I'm
this.
saying
Yeah.
if they're true, if they're like
Even
honest.
if they're not, even if they are true, though, do you need to justify that to someone? I think
No,
the
I'm just
fear.
I'm just talking about being communicative in that sense. I don't know
Okay.
if that's
Okay. Gotcha.
you're right. I wouldn't do it as an excuse, but once you commit, you can explain why you
Right.
can't do more if
Yeah.
there's a real honest answer.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
I feel like I have to pick up somebody from the airport at this time.
Yeah.
That's just the fact.
Right. 100%. But you also shouldn't feel that you need to have a proper excuse. Your excuse can just be that you don't want to.
Absolutely. And well, this is one of them too, by the way.
Yeah.
Saying no with conviction,
Right.
right? A lot of people, when they say no, they don't just say no again, my friend is so good at saying this, like
Yeah.
with conviction, but not
Yeah.
sounding like an asshole.
It's
I don't think most
wonderful.
people do sound like an asshole, by the way. I think we just
No, I think we think that we will
think
sound
that
like an
we would
asshole if we say
exactly.
no. Yeah.
Exactly. But again, you got to be clear about it. Like,
Right.
I cannot help you. Some people, because people will try to take advantage. Again, you have to look out for people there are manipulative people out there, right?
Right.
There are even
Yeah.
friends of ours who can be manipulative. It's part of their
Of
traits,
course.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're overly flat. Like, you're the best person for this. Please, I
Yeah.
need you. I
Oh,
need
I
you. Nobody else can do this like you do.
oh
you know?
I love podcasting with you. Please. No, I don't. No, what
Oh,
is
is
it that
that
you
me?
do? No, I'm just coding. No, actually, it's more like, what was it that you said? You did this to me though at one point. I think
I
last.
did add something to it though. I did say like, but.
I think you did it last. It was last episode. You said something like,
But I gave you an out as I gave you some outs as well.
"Yeah, you're nice. It's fine, whatever." But like, you
Because I'm trying
will.
to be
Yeah, no, you're
honest.
not a
Yeah.
manipulative person. I didn't mean to put you in
But I
that
mean, you love that
category.
flattery. You said it yourself.
I do love the flattery, but you know that I'm susceptible to it. You can't.
For our listeners, we're very meta about this with each
Yeah,
other.
we're a little too meta for this.
Yeah.
There's also, I don't know if this is from the same list or
I
like,
don't
I
know.
just,
Maybe.
I don't know. You can kind of rewrite the stories you have in your mind about your past failures. So like sometimes the reason that something feels like you feel that you need to please people because you feel like you did something wrong in the past, or you feel
Mm,
like you had a bad experience in the past where you failed to, and you need to like, you're like, oh, in that one instance where someone got really mad at me because I didn't do this the way
yeah,
that they
it could
wanted me
happen
to,
again.
it could happen again. And it's like sometimes you need to relook at those things and reevaluate what actually
Yeah.
happened and whether that's
It's your perception.
realistic.
You have to
Yeah.
basically reevaluate your perception there, right?
Yes.
Because you're skewing it in a way that's very like biased, that's unhelpful to you.
For sure. Yeah.
One of the things I read too is that you shouldn't apologize if it's not your fault
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well, right?
Gosh. Stop apologizing
If it's not your fault.
if it's not your fault.
But
Yeah.
now sometimes I think if you think everything's your fault, that's one of the things you have to reevaluate,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It's not likely
No.
that it's always your fault.
Yeah.
And then another thing is a lot of people have a fear, maybe it's because of the last time they have a fear of the fallout
Mm.
that's going to happen if they say no. What if they don't want to be friends with me? If they don't want to be friends with you anymore, or they're going to be upset at you,
They're kind of a dick. Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, here's an example. Like, have you ever asked anybody to help pick you up from the airport?
No, I never ask anybody for anything.
So I guess
But should I?
this
No, I maybe I don't know. I don't
maybe you're not
ask
in
them
that
to.
position.
People
Well, if you
offer.
don't, yeah, I guess if you have your family or somebody around there too, that you
Yeah.
might not even consider that. But I
But that's a
mean,
good point. Yeah, it's a necessary thing sometimes, right?
yeah, here in LA, going to LAX, picking you up from the airport is like
Yeah.
a kind of a thing, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
like, I've always counted myself as one of those people that if somebody needs to get picked up from the airport or driven to the airport, I'm going to do it. I love
Yeah, I
driving
like
people to the
doing it.
airport.
I like
I love it.
driving. Yeah.
I love the conversation on the way there.
It's kind
I
of
love it.
fun.
I
You
enjoy
know,
it.
there's a whole podcast on driving people to LAX. It's called
Really?
Do You Need a Ride? It's
Oh,
by
perfect.
it's Karen Kilgariff and some dude. Because
we can just I can listen to it when I'm driving someone to LAX. But then
yeah,
I do have those instances where like those people I've helped out.
yeah.
So I always find myself for some reason when I need a ride, like nobody hardly ever is
Oh,
anybody available to give me a ride.
oh,
And
so-
and I don't hold any resentment
yeah.
about it. I don't. I really don't. I understand it just still happens that day of. I last time my friend did give me a ride. Like it does happen.
Mm,
But like I would say of like what is it, the 6, 7 times I flew, was it 2019?
mm.
Like 5 of those times I couldn't get someone to like give me a ride.
Oh,
And
that's
sometimes those
funny.
were people that I'd given rides. It's not like they were
Yeah,
being mean. They probably actually had something.
like legit couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think in my case, it wasn't like, I don't think I was being pushy to ask. It's true
Right.
that we build
Oh,
up a
it's a
little bit of an
legitimate ask.
exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, I like driving people to
Yeah.
the airport, but I also haven't had to. I don't know.
I guess I am friends with a bunch of people who are totally capable of saying no, which is good too.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Very freely willing and able to say no.
Yeah.
I'll give you actually, I have this one friend and I love him dearly. And we worked on lots of projects together.
Mhm.
He's a very sweet guy,
Mhm.
but he does have a habit that when he calls, it starts off with, "Hey, how are you doing? How's your dad?"
Mm.
He asks you these questions and you think, "Oh, that's so sweet." He's like, "Anyway, so I have this issue. I was wondering if you," and almost every time he's calling, it's for something.
Oh,
Again, he doesn't just do this to me. He does this. There's another mutual friend. He does this every time he calls. It's for something. And my friend, every single time he does it, and every single time he then comes, he'll talk to me. He's definitely built up resentment
mm.
about it over time. So I find myself when he did it to me, I just call it out. Like I have a
Yeah.
way, I guess, that I do that with some humor, but also a little bit of
Humor. That's key.
humor is
Yeah.
a very important thing, right? I'll be like, oh, so we don't just talk to say hi anymore. Is that it? Oh no, tell
That's
me.
funny.
I'm like, he'll be like, how's your dad? And I'll be
Yeah.
like, my dad is, what do you want? Like, it's like, look, hey, I want to help you out and I'm going to help you out. But the next time you call, I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
you know
That's
what I
funny.
mean? It can't just be for something. And I'm very
Also,
clear
like,
about it.
yeah,
And I do it with
that's
some
good.
humor, but it's honest too.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's mean. I think that it's it's just a kind of a habit.
Yeah.
That's
It
how it
happens. Yeah.
that's how it happens, right?
Mm.
So, yeah, I think, on the other direction too, you can also be, let's say you are going to say yes to someone. You can say yes, but you can set limitations for the future as well.
Right.
I'm going to help you this time because you're my friend and I care about you.
But next time.
But next time, so then you set boundaries, at least for the future, a time frame for
Mm.
the future.
Okay.
hmm Last one I would say is you just have to realize you can't be everything to everyone. I think that's something
Yes.
that people pleasers often feel,
That's true. That's
right?
true.
And once you
Yeah.
realize that, you free yourself.
You do indeed. And actually, can I end us off with a quote then?
Please. I
So
love your
this
quotes.
is this is from Lao Tzu. I don't know if I'm saying the
How
name right, but nobody really does, so that's
do
fine.
you spell that?
So it's spelled Lao Tzu, like Laotzu, but it's
Oh,
generally pronounced like Lao Tzu or Lao Tzu. I don't
I
know.
mean, you are the language person, so
Yes, but East Asian languages are not among my fortes.
not yet.
Not yet, no. So yeah, Lao Tzu said many, many years ago, care about what other people think and you will always be their prisoner.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting that the last thing I said was also related to your quote.
Yeah, that actually worked out pretty well. So we didn't even
It's
plan
true.
that, or did we? Mhm.
So that's thinking about like caring about what people think is part of the. Now, should you care what other people think? My answer is yes. Like to be empathetic, you have to care what people think. But the problem is,
That's,
it's like everything in moderation, right?
I mean, caring what people think, I think in this case isn't really referring to caring about other people's feelings. It's caring about what people think of you.
Yeah, especially if like they're asking you for something or
Right.
they're
But
imposing on you in some way.
just in general, being kind of more bound by what other people think than
Yeah,
by
you shouldn't be bound by
your
what they
own.
think.
But how can't you be if you're over aware of what other people think of you, then I think you are kind of stuck in a way. You're kind of limited.
hmm Is it fair to say there's a line there somewhere? Like, like you, you should be it's good to be aware of what other people think, it has good for
Like,
self-awareness as
I don't
well,
know.
right?
It's
And how you
okay to
come
be
off.
aware.
Yeah, and how you come off, and
Yeah.
to a certain degree,
Right. Okay.
you can regulate yourself, right?
Right. Some self-awareness is good. There's a difference between
Yeah.
self-awareness and I think this is more like caring what people think in terms of like, do you change your actions to things that you don't want to do based on what other people might think, is how I'm interpreting it, I
Yeah.
guess. But that's kind of just one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're talking it's so contextual, right? Because there are
It is
times when
contextual, yeah.
you probably should, especially if your actions are not good, right? Or some way.
But if you are self-aware enough to know, I mean,
It wasn't just
yeah,
a simple ending quote
it
now, was
wasn't
it?
just a God damn it, Josh. I thought I had such a no, it's okay.
Can I tell you, because you said this, it makes me think of this story that happened just on my film shoot, to bring this
Sure.
back around.
Yeah,
So like
let's
this is
end
very
off with a
quick.
story. Yeah, I believe
Well,
you.
this it ties into this quote because like I'm trying to think about this. There was a girl who was acting in the movie. She's a really,
Mm,
really great friend of mine. And again,
yeah.
this movie, I think it was harder, even, the people pleasing side for me with this movie than others, because I was working specifically on this movie with only people who I knew and were friends of mine.
Oh, that's so
That,
much harder.
yeah, but that was the fun part of it for me, but also the
Right.
challenge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I needed and wanted things from them. I
Mm,
demanded things from them,
yeah.
but also I want to have a good time and we're friends, and you
Yeah.
know, try to balance it with, maybe I can give you here's some footage
Yeah.
on 16 millimeter film. We shot on actual film for this movie,
Right. Yeah. Very
right?
cool.
Yeah, which, by the way, it's about therapists, this whole movie. So
What is it? And
yeah,
did you
so
use some of the material that we've been going through on
yeah,
our
basically this
podcast, Josh?
podcast was very inspirational to me
And
in
do
this
I get
film.
a credit
I'm gonna
for
give you a
that?
special thanks, Aya. I'm gonna throw you a special
No,
thanks
don't.
for this. I'm not
I'm
even joking.
joking.
You
But
deserve
I
it.
am joking. Please don't
No,
give me
too bad.
anything.
Too bad.
That's
It's going in there.
craziness, Josh. You don't need
I'm
to do
giving you a
that.
special thanks. So
No,
I've been
not
writing
now.
them
I
in my
feel
phone.
bad.
It's already
Now I
there.
feel guilty that you've even said that. I
No,
was totally
you're gonna
joking.
feel guilty for me saying special thanks in the credit. Come on, it's nothing,
But
and you deserve it.
okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, so take
Thanks.
it, because otherwise the podcast, this one's gonna go on too long, and
That's true. All right, I'll just
yeah,
take it.
yeah,
Just
there you go.
for the sake of brevity. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, this girl, I was running out of time, and the biggest challenge on these sets for me often is time.
Mm,
And I was shooting on actual film, which takes more time, and
right.
film is money when it comes to
Yeah.
physical film. So
As opposed to
we were shooting
digital, just for our
as
non-film.
opposed to digital. Yeah.
So
So I'm
digital is the
shooting
normal way it's done, but film is physical film, which means that you
exactly
can't like print
classic.
over it or you have like a limited
Yeah.
amount. It costs money. Okay.
Exactly. And so we were running out of time, and I had this one scene coming up with this one girl, and I had this brilliant idea. I was like, "Hey, what if we move her scene to nighttime instead?
Mm,
Then I have all the time I need, and we'll just go later, but I can get these other scenes done in this time instead, and that'll really help me with time.
right.
All I have to do is move that scene of hers later."
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, great. I'm used to, when I ask actors like these types of
Yeah.
things, usually they're very understandable. It's like they're flexible. Yeah, whatever you need,
Yeah.
sure, we'll make it work. I'd rather not,
Yeah.
but we'll do it
Yeah.
if it helps the film. And I came and I asked this question, and she was like, basically, she was like, I'd rather not. And I was like, so it's not possible, like, to do this, like, because
Yeah.
we are having issues with time and everything would really help. She's like, well, we're shooting on Mother's Day,
Yeah.
and I would like to see my grandmother tonight,
I think
for dinner. So,
that's
and
fair.
it's fair, totally fair. Of course, it's
Yeah.
fair, right? Of course, it's fair. But like literally at the time, so I'm in this position too of like, so when I have a question to myself as well, like, do I try to explain to her how much, like, is it worth pushing that at all? Because this is literally going to save us on time,
But what if her
or,
grandma like dies in a day and she
oh
didn't
my
get to spend
Lord,
Mother's Day with her? What? I think that's
no.
more important. I'd be like, yeah, go see your grandma. Why don't you just get her to come back after she sees her grandma or whatever?
It wouldn't be no. It was like 11 it was we're getting towards like 11 midnight type of time.
Mm.
Like even at the time that we would have asked her, she wanted to see her grandmother, was going to be after 10 p.m.,
Oh
after
wow.
11
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
So it would be a late night shoot. Like it wouldn't be a time to see family members after that,
Right.
right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So she explained that, but I wasn't actually used to that. I wasn't used to someone just blatantly telling me,
Yeah.
like, while we're in a time crunch, usually everyone understands, like,
Yeah.
everyone's sacrificing something here or there when stuff comes up,
Right.
right? But I can't ask someone to do that, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
can ask, but I can't push,
Right.
or can I? Right? So
I don't
I'm
know.
like, if it was someone I really, I guess, didn't know, it wasn't like a friend of mine, I might have pushed
Yeah.
a little more. I might have been
Huh.
like, hey, this would really, like, I know it's a lot to ask. It's just the challenges that we're having. This would really solve them.
Yeah.
This is the only thing I can think of.
Mm.
You sure, right? But I didn't. I stopped pretty short because she's just such a good friend of mine, and I knew I
Yeah.
didn't want any resentment to be built if she did have to
Mm.
agree to this or
Right.
not. So, I was like, all right, we're just gonna we're just gonna try to work with the time we have,
Mm.
and I guess good on her in that sense for being honest about what she could or
Yeah.
couldn't do, in that case. And also on my end too, I wanted to not, my actual people pleasing side won out
Yeah.
as well by not pushing
Yeah.
too much. And we ended up getting everything that we needed. So it
Mm.
ended up actually working out. She
Yeah.
was really great and fast in her scene.
Okay.
So she helped me one way or another. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if any Israelis listen to this podcast, they'll be like, "What is people pleasing?" I say
She
exactly what I
actually is
think
a little
all
bit,
the
she
time.
was like, I think she's Israeli or like part
There you
Israeli.
go. Yeah. Sometimes the Israeli in me comes. No, I'm not really Israeli, but
No.
like
I
sometimes
worked
I
with a bunch of Israelis on this film. Maybe that's what it,
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
they're all able to say no.
They are all very clear with their boundaries,
There's a
which
joke
is
about,
very
the
nice.
joke?
What's the joke?
Four guys are standing on a street corner, an American, a Russian, a Chinese man, and an Israeli.
Okay.
A reporter comes up to the group and says to them, "Excuse me, what's your opinion on the meat shortage?" The American says, "What's a shortage?" The Russian says, "What's meat?" The Chinese man says, "What's an opinion?" And the Israeli says, "What's excuse me?"
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
Oh, he just doesn't know what excuse me is, but it has no. Oh,
Uh,
the guy says it. Okay. Oh my god.
Each of them had a different part of it they didn't understand.
Yeah, but the excuse me part. Okay, so he does say excuse me at this. I didn't. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I was editing this episode so I can make myself sound less dumb there. But yeah, that's fine. Let me leave a proper. Oh man, yeah, that's so accurate. That was my response to the joke.
I just leave this in. Anyway,
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Aya,
Yeah.
if it's what you really want, I'll take it out because I want to please you.
I'll let you. I'll let you do whatever you want, and then I'll let you know if I
Yeah.
don't like it the way it
I
is.
care about pleasing the people I care about, and you're one of
Well,
those
and I
people I care
care
about.
about.
So
Oh, that's nice. I hate when I say "oh" like that. Could you actually cut that as well, then, if you're
no,
interested in pleasing your
maybe
co-host?
no. I gotta not. I have to work on my people pleasing here. No. Oh
Um,
no! Oh, look at that face. No.
I'm mad.
By the way, one of the other things, if you have two people pleasers,
Uh huh.
I always say, like, especially like, let's say I'm doing a writing project with someone. We're both co-writing and we both have an idea,
Uh huh.
and we both want our idea in, but we also want to please each other.
Hmm.
One of the things that I found helps is to ask the question, who will be more upset if we
Right. Yeah.
if we do it this way, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
who can take it and who can't? Like
Yeah.
how important is this to you versus how important is it to me? You both might want something, but who wants their thing more and
Right.
who will be more upset if they don't get their thing? And you have to
Mm.
kind of figure that out sometimes.
Yeah.
That's where the compromise lies.
Right.
Anyway, Aya, you want to take us out of here?
I'm gonna take us out of here. So, this has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. If you enjoy, what is that wrong?
No, it's great. I'm
Oh,
sorry
okay. I
I
just
gave you
sorry.
an
I
eyebrow
needed
raise because I was like, ooh,
you had eyebrow
so,
raised. Yeah,
you're
I
so
just needed.
professional.
I needed some mid sentence approval. Apparently.
Am I doing this right? Am I
No,
taking us out
is
of the
this okay?
episode right?
Is this right?
Josh,
Okay.
I want to please you.
Well, I want to go there. Okay.
You're like,
So
no, you, Josh? No. You're a fool.
no, I mean, I think I'm comfortable enough that I don't really worry about that. Okay. This has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and or like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page where you can get all these updates. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on blah, 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 blah. You know where we are because you're listening to us right now. Unless you're listening on Anchor, and in which case you probably want to find another place to listen to us as well. I don't really know about that, but yeah, you can. Okay. Josh is laughing at me. Okay.
You're doing great, Aya. I
Oh
approve.
my God. I don't think I am. Oh, God. I think that's the main stuff. Do we have any like announcements or anything we want to ask people, tell people?
Well, I'll just say, like, feel free to get involved on those pages too. Like, we'll periodically ask
Yeah.
what topics you think we should do next. We might do little polls like this topic or that topic,
Yeah.
or this topic or that topic first.
Yeah.
We love hearing comments. There's a few of you that have been sending us either public or private messages
Yeah,
after
we
the
love it.
podcast, and we love hearing it because we get that approval as the people pleasers that we are.
Yeah.
we want to please you mostly, and then partly we also want to. If you don't like it, there's a part of us that's like, well, screw you. We're gonna do what we want. So
Well, yeah. Well, also, I would like to throw this out there. If you are ever listening and you hear us talking about these little stories with us and you think of a story that like rings true for you, please share. So like if you were listening to this episode and you thought, "Oh, I have such a
great people pleasy story. Yeah,
yeah, people pleasing
something like
story
that.
that this really reminds me of," even if you don't think it's good, don't worry about it. Please feel free to share it with us. Maybe
Yeah,
like, I mean, if we get enough of them, maybe we can even share them on the podcast. I think that would be
yeah.
interesting to get. So, and I mean, that's just an example for this episode, but if you're listening to
Hmm.
episode 2 and you want to talk about being an introvert or an extrovert, please share those with us because it would be kind of cool to get you guys a little more
Involved.
involved in things. And yeah, that's also, please get involved however you like or don't. You can also just passively listen. I totally relate to that. That would be me. So yeah, and I think that's about it. How do we usually end this thing, Josh?
I'm not sure. I think usually, like, I'm just saying something, and at some point the music sort of cuts me out.
Okay.
Cuts me off. Cuts me out.
Cuts me out. It cuts me out of the picture. Okay, great.
What accent was that?
I don't. That was a nothing accent. I can't believe I let that be recorded too. Bye.